On today's video, if you stick around to the end, if you apply the principles I give you here, I promise you your relationships will begin to change for the better. Hello again, my friend. Thank you so much for watching. And if you're here for the first time, my goal is to help other recovering addicts like myself not only overcome your addictions, but also to begin to live a life of prosperity and abundance. On today's video, we are talking about relationships. Relationships are so important to our lives, aren't they? I mean, a relationship can make or break us. Many times, our relationships define who we are. Our relationships with our parents, they really mold and shape us into the adults we become, right? Relationships with partners. I mean, how important is that? Could be potentially the person that you bring children into the world with. How many times are we in a relationship with somebody, sometimes for many years, and then the breakup happens, and then we don't know who we are. We're so lost for so long. And in fact, that's many times what the grieving is about. It's not even usually about the other person, because they're an ex for the reason. I mean, obviously they weren't treating you well, or you weren't treating them well, or vice versa, both ways. And so you had to say sayonara. But the pain is in, now who am I? Now who am I without this relationship, right? And then, of course, the relationships with our children. Just as our parents molded us, now it's our responsibility to mold these little innocent. They were born with clean slate, right? And we're writing on the tablet of who they are. And that's a huge responsibility, right? And we want to do it right. And we care about others. And many times when we're fighting with somebody and we say the hurtful words, it's not even that we really want to hurt them as much as we just want them to understand how much we're hurting, right? Today, I'm going to read you a little excerpt out of a book that I picked up. It's just a little book I picked up at the Dollar Tree. It's an old one. This was written by Hal Edward Runkle. I don't even know if you can get it anymore. You might be able to go on Amazon and get it. Or, I'll sell you my copy if you really want it that bad. But I'm just going to read you an excerpt out of it today. Even though it's directed mostly for like parents and parenting, this actually applies to every relationship, any relationship in your life, okay? Because it's always about you. It's always about you. And if you can learn to keep it about yourself, this is the key to your relationships improving. You're not going to be perfect at first. You're going to have to practice. But when you realize it's all about you, that's when your relationships will begin to change. And here's a perfect example of that. And I'm going to change the names here, the name of the mother to my own name, because I like to apply these kind of examples to myself and get it into my subconscious mind. It's like an additional tool. My subconscious hears it, and I'm kind of programming it, right, as I'm reading it by slipping my own name in there. So that's a little trick for you. You might want to use as well, okay? All right, so the daughter, who's 13 years old, decides she wants to go away for the weekend with some friends of hers, with some girlfriends. Now, one of the other girl's parents is completely willing to pay for the trip. And they're going to stay at a hotel just for fun. They're just going to stay at a hotel. That's the trip, okay? Now, Elizabeth's radar went off when she realized the girls were going to be dropped off for the weekend with no adult supervision. She told Annie an empathetic no. I'm so sorry, honey, but there's no adults going to be present. I can't let you go. I'm so sorry. Now, this set off an intense scene, to say the least. Annie erupted with more intensity than ever before, and Elizabeth's newfound calm, in the midst of Annie's horrendous screaming, "You never let me do anything! You're so unfair, I hate you!" I don't know that I would be that calm. Which is why I'm reading books like this. Okay? In tears, the exasperated mom immediately went to the phone and called her pastor. So she stayed calm. She didn't react right away. She just stayed calm. She turned her back and walked off and went and called her pastor. Somebody healthy, right? A mentor. Somebody we look up to. Not one of her friends that was going to co-sign her bullshit, but somebody that she could trust that would give her the healthy answer, okay? Now, Annie barged in when she heard the phone call. And Annie barged in screaming, "Who are you calling? Someone to listen to you complain about me? Oh, that's just great." And stormed off. Stormed out of the room. But Elizabeth did not acquiesce to her daughter's reaction. Instead, she began talking to her pastor about herself. She did not complain even once about Annie. I am not there yet. See, I have not arrived to that point yet. I complain about my daughter. My daughter's 4 years old, and I'm complaining about her. And it's not about her at all. It's always about me. If my daughter's not doing something right, if she's putting me to the test, something in my training, something that I've taught her, is probably the culprit in this situation. So I don't know about you, but I've got a lot to learn here. "I'm angry," she said on the phone, "and I'm tempted to say things I don't mean." She went on telling him that she was tired and not very good at taking care of herself, especially with all the demands of single parenthood. "I'm angry at myself most of all." Elizabeth was doing a great job of maintaining her focus on herself. They talked for several minutes, and with each sentence, she became calmer, simply talking about her own emotions, and that was helping her take the focus off of her daughter. Choosing to examine herself was taking the focus out of her belly and allowing her deepest desires for her relationship with her daughter to come to the surface. As Elizabeth's peace began to defeat her anxiety, she noticed Annie's face peering from around the door. Apparently, after she had stormed out of the room, Annie had come back and put her ear to the door. She had been listening the entire time. After the phone conversation was over, Elizabeth felt confidently calm. The next morning was a completely different scene. Her daughter did not come down and graciously apologize, but she did calmly say that she understood her mother's point of view. She had obviously focused on herself that night as well, because she was then able to articulate what was really bothering her. "I understand you're just trying to do what's best for me, Mom. I really do. I just feel like you never want me to grow up." Elizabeth was able to listen with calm and connection. She was able to hear her daughter's views and express her own concerns about the weekend excursion. The conversation ended with a hug and tears. Evidently, Annie's eavesdropping ears heard quite a bit the night before. She heard that her mom wasn't trying to control her. She was trying to control herself. Elizabeth's short dialogue with her pastor spoke volumes to Annie. She didn't need a heated speech from her mom. She needed a mom committed to focusing on herself, growing herself up, and calming herself down. And that's what Elizabeth was beginning to give her. Annie didn't go away that weekend. At her request, she went shopping with Mom instead. So I just wanted to read you guys that because that is the perfect example of what happens when we don't react with anger. When you keep the focus on yourself, okay? And you're not going to be perfect. People are going to say things, do things to hurt you, to hurt your feelings, and you're going to react. You're going to get angry, and it's going to start to come out just because that's your habit, right? But you can catch yourself. And when you realize, when you have that heightened, enlightened moment where you're observing yourself and your behavior and you're having that moment, you can shut it down and you can begin to focus on yourself, completely on yourself. And as you connect with your source, connect with your mentors and the people in your life that you know are healthy and are going to give you the healthy answers, not the GFs who are going to, again, co-sign your bull, your relationships will begin to change. Miracles will begin to happen. And they will either change and heal for the better when they start to see that you're not reacting anymore and they're not getting the rise out of you that they used to get. They're going to have to change their behavior as well. It's just going to happen as a side effect. Either that or the people that aren't important to you or aren't good for your life will just go away. And even sometimes if that's your own family, you know, we have the family that we're born with and we have the family that we choose. And if they're not healthy for you, they're just not healthy. And you have to send them love and light, but let them live their own life. And that's it. And that's all I have for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to say what you're grateful for. Feel the feelings of prosperity. And don't forget to hit that bell notification so that you are notified of my next video, okay? And if this message meant anything to you, please consider sharing it. And that's all I have. Thank you so much. I love you so much, my self-created lifers. Namaste.